Hi, my name is Katie, and I am the driver for the session, and I'm here with.
Hey, this is Lindo. I'll be the navigator for the session.
Cool. So let's begin. So I'm gonna go over lesson 5 of unit 1, and lesson 5 is just about handling incoming data. So in this chapter, we learn how to collect and process data from HTTP requests such as form submissions or API calls, and then the lesson introduces us to application routes which match specific requests like your URLs to appropriate responses, and then we use the call command. It demonstrates how to submit a post request using the call command, which is useful for testing server endpoints. And then lastly, we built a basic web application with routes that serve different HTML content based on the user's request. So moving on to the activity. Your simple web application is sending two path requests with routes you created for info and contact. A normal application will likely have more pages to visit. Add three more routes to the application for the following parts. About, respond with a line of HTML starting learn more about us. Hello, respond with a line of HTML stating hello, stating say hello by emailing us here. Include an anchor tag link to our email around the word here, and an error. Respond with a status code of 44 and a line of plain text stating sorry, the page you're looking for is not here. So over here is the code that I will be explaining. So look at the code I'm highlighting. So over there I created a object called route response map to store the predefined responses for specific parts like info, contact, about, hello, and error. Each key in the map represents a route, and its value defines the response content for each route, either HTML or just a plain text. And then we use the HTTP module to create a server app. So the server listens for incoming requests and matches the request path to the request.url were the keys in the route response map. So over here, and then for parts like info, contact, about, and hello, we respond with a HTML content. So for example, a message or a clickable email link to the hello route. And then for the error route, we return a 44 code with a plain text message indicating the web page was not found. And then if a user accesses a route that isn't defined in the route response map, the server responds with a default message, welcome. And also, we add a specific logic for the error route to set the HTTP status code for signaling not found error. And then if a user for all the other routes, the server responds with a standard HTTP status code of 200 indicating it was successful. And then the app.listen port method runs the server and then listens on port 3000. Any request made to localhost 3000 will trigger the matching routes response logic. So over here we just built a simple Node.js web server that can handle multiple routes, deliver appropriate responses based on the path requested, and it handles errors. So this demonstrates key concepts in web development such as routing and the content and basic error handling. So now we're just going to test the server. So it is listening on localhost 3000, so I can just access it over here. So we made it to the welcome page. So we're gonna go through each one. So it's info and then contact. Let me start with those. There's the info page. Now we're gonna go over to contact. Here's the contact page, and then after that, what was it? About, hello, and error. Learn more about this. So it takes me to the email, and this is where I can obviously email. Oh, I close the web. And then we're just gonna have to check the error, and we'll move on to the Q&A. Sorry, the page you're looking for is not here. So everything does work as it should. So that just wraps up the code. So now we're gonna move on to the Q&A. So here's our first question. What is the name of a function your server calls every time a request is received? And that will be the function is called after each request that receives a callback function. Because the function does not have an identifying name, it's also considered to be an anonymous function. And then our next question is true or false. Every submitted form sends its full content in single chunk of data, which is false. Here is the answer. False data is streamed to the server in chunks, which allows the server to respond based on part of the received data or even the size of the collected data. And that just wraps up the chapter. Thank you for watching.